the imperative, the impetus is on us to be able to continue our journey of neuroinclusion, making sure that people are taking the skill sets of those individuals and making sure that there's opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
I do not want to see businesses fall off the neuroinclusion, the pace that we're going at right now, because it's really tough to build momentum back up. It's taken us a long time to get to where we are at right now, and you, I, and thousands of other people have helped individuals find employment opportunities, and I don't want them to have this in the back of their mind, like, what's going to be there for me?
Welcome to the Neurodiversity in the Workplace podcast. Our team at NITW is a team of consultants working with companies around the world to make them more neuroinclusive. Our goal is to make neurodivergent inclusion a critical part of the current workforce and the future workforce. And we're really lucky to be joined today by my friend Anthony Pacilio. Anthony, can you give us a little introduction about who you are and why we think you are an expert in neuroinclusion?
Well, thanks, Joe, for having me. I like the expert part. I appreciate that. A little bit about me. The journey started probably a long time ago, when I was a kid and kind of going through high school and having some challenges with folks, and I kind of learned that I was neurodivergent along the way. So I have extreme social anxiety disorder. I have depression. I'm super open about it. But that kind of led me into what I do now. And my career took me to JP Chase, where I was the global head of their Autism at Work initiative, now Neurodiversity at Work. And then I moved on to another opportunity, and now I am at Soho Square Solutions as a consultant. We obviously are building a neurodiversity program. I'm lucky to be involved with that and, continue the journey.
Cool. That's fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us. And I think we wanted to talk about kind of projecting out the future of what neuroinclusion is going to look like, some of the challenges on the road to that ideal future, and maybe just some general thoughts on where it's all headed. So yeah, help us. We'll have a conversation here, but where do you see us right now? Where do you think we're going, and what are the bumps along the way that we need to watch out for?
Well, I mean, the climate itself is a little different than it was, a year or so ago.
Very much so. Yeah.
I think we're turning a corner, so to speak, right? There's a couple things in play, right? So businesses seem to be doing well. That in turn allows us to build programs and make sure that, neurodiversity in the workplace in general is still kind of occurring and people are understanding and building these programs. I think with what has challenged us over the past year or so, is there's two things, right? We can talk about technology kind of entering play
a new
here.
Phase, AI, the world.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, yes, that we're going to talk about that in 2 seconds. And I think the other thing is people in general, right? There's never been a downturn in people wanting to ensure that neurodiversity is part of the workforce. I think you and I have been doing this a long time. We've built that up over the past 7 to 10 years. Again, took a little bit of a hiatus, so to speak, but no one's lost the passion for it. And I think businesses, small, large, medium, whatever you want to do, they are still engaged. It might be in a different realm, so to speak, but I think we're trending in the right direction. Now, let's go back to tech. So you talked about AI. Listen, it's not, AI shouldn't be replacing jobs. It should be, substantiating the jobs, right? We're building technology to make life easier, taking out redundancies, but we need to ensure that there's still a place for people.
Right. Our friend Krista from Neurodiversity in the Workplace team said, replace tasks, not people.
Yes. So, and I think she's dead on with that, and I thank her for saying that. But how many tasks are we going to replace with AI? And as businesses take a look at bottom line, because it's always about the bottom line, and it's not that it should never be about the bottom line, it should be about the people. We get that there's a give and take in that area, but we need to be able, with AI, we should be developing other jobs that people can do, right? So, and we know how hard it is for people to get into the workforce, go through that interview process. They're getting out of college. They're in mid-career, and now AI has come swooping in to change how we do testing and whatever that may be. And I don't mean testing in general. I mean like QA testing, IT testing. But what about all those other jobs that AI is replacing? Maybe different types of light industrial work. The robots are coming in and automated processing. So how does that, we use the word forecasting, I think a couple of people, what does the forecast look in the future to that? I mean,
Right.
I'm going to ask you that question. You can ask it back to me.
Yeah, no, I think it's interesting because neuroinclusion work, a lot of it has to do with creating jobs or identifying jobs for neurodivergent people, bringing them into the workforce, right? And so there's a workforce development component.
Yes.
And so I have kind of this conflicting mindset on where we're headed with AI. I am both super excited and super passionate. And I think, like most people, also a lot of red flags that we need to make sure we avoid.
Yes.
I mean, I was reading, there's a book out by Nate Silver, the forecaster, and he describes it pretty aptly of if you were to be able to push a big stop button, and that stop button paused AI development for 10 years, and you couldn't restart it until 10 years, would you push the button, right? And it gets to a question of, okay, I appreciate about AI this kind of technological, innovative approach, right? And because this is how I see neuroinclusion in the workforce. Our definition of neurodiversity is different ways of thinking, learning, socializing, experiencing the world. That's how you innovate, when you have different perspectives coming into a room together, right? And if AI can push that innovation forward, that seems like a great plan. But I also see the humanity in it, the flaw that, there's a very tempting decision for leadership to make to say, okay, we've eliminated 40% of the tasks of your team, replaced it with AI, so let's eliminate, 40% of the people. Well, that gets a little scary.
Yes, and I think you're right about that, but I think it's up to those leaders to understand, right? So the workforce in general will always need people. I don't think I say that, it's 2025. I don't know what happens.
We'll look back in 2030 and
see if how accurate or inaccurate Anthony was. But we're going to need people to do jobs, right? We just need to assess the technology that we have and the platforms that we have now, and they're morphing and evolving every single day. And I can't say that, like, from a human perspective, and this is what kind of gets me a little bit. We have so many individuals who have different ways of going about different tasks. And AI is trying to utilize that and build upon that and educate itself about how that works. But there's always going to be some part of somebody's brain that's going to think differently than that AI. And if we take that out, we are losing what we have built along the way over, life, to make society evolve, sometimes for better, sometimes for worse, but we need people to be able to do that. And I think in general, businesses need to recognize that the brain power that we have, especially in the neurodivergent, neuroinclusion space, we can't replace that per se.
No, and I think it's important, like what you're saying, that brain power, that different way of thinking and learning and talking about it. I think it is really critical to also incorporate that into this new technology that's being formed.
I agree.
Because otherwise, you quickly run into just repetitive, mediocre conversations. We all get the spam text messages or emails, and you can tell. You can say, okay, this is
that's
it. And
a bot.
we might be able to further develop it. That's not a bot, right? But I do think that we still haven't learned where we can effectively eliminate tasks for people and where we shouldn't.
So when we talk about that, though, how many people are going to listen to this podcast and be like, all right, these guys are talking about AI replacing jobs and, they don't want that to happen. And they're either starting their careers, in the middle of their careers, or ending their careers, and they're thinking, well, what's going to be left for me
Right.
when we're done? Well, it's the imperative, the impetus is on us to be able to continue our journey of neuroinclusion, making sure that people are taking the skill sets of those individuals and making sure that there's opportunities. I do not want to see businesses fall off the neuroinclusion, the pace that we're going at right now, because it's really tough to build momentum back up. It's taken us a long time to get to where we are at right now, and you, I, and thousands of other people have helped individuals find employment opportunities, and I don't want them to have this in the back of their mind, like, what's going to be there for me, right? You got kids who are 12 and 13, and they're awesome on social media, and they're using whatever technology it is out there. They're doing great at it. What happens in 5 years when they're ready to graduate high school or they're going to college? We need to be able to develop opportunities for them. That's a little bit on us, right? We got to figure out that we went here first. We're going to go here, but we have to be kind of like putty and figure it out and move left and right.
We have to be, innovate the way with this new technology, which again, I think can have a lot of fantastic benefits. And, but yeah, it all ties together in this workforce development, projection kind of mindset. And so maybe shifting topics a little bit, where do you see the current landscape of inclusion, especially neuroinclusion right now? And then we can maybe try and project where we go from here.
Well, over the past couple of days, I think I've talked to so many different companies and organizations that are still new to the neuroinclusion space and want to do it. It might be embedded somewhere different within the organization or have a different acronym or whatever it is, but people still want to do it. And I think where I'm at with Soho Square Solutions and recognizing that there are still opportunities out there, that companies are still educating themselves on neuroinclusion in the workplace. We have tons of opportunities. This isn't going to slow down. Took a little bump in the road here, but I am so excited about the opportunities that we have over the next 2 years to make this even larger and scale it up, and I think that's what we're kind of talking about, is scalability, right? We have small and large organizations who are looking to do this. We just got to be there to help educate, help train, show them the way, and then let them lead, let them build it. So
Absolutely,
we're
and
good.
I like that optimism, and I think that if I'm putting on an optimistic view here, right, which I like to do, I think that we can look at the current market. And in my evaluation from this corner of the world in neuroinclusion, I see it right now, it's a very employer favored market.
Yes.
The job market is difficult. We saw one evaluation that we did that the rate of job applications to interview was 375 to 1.
Ooh.
Not to hire, just to interview. Right?
Yeah.
So it takes a lot to get a job in the current market. Really unfortunate, really frustrating, and not great for bringing in new talent.
Right.
But I do think that this is a pendulum that swings back and forth. And we've seen these growth periods happen when the pendulum starts to swing the other way towards favoring the new innovative generation that's coming up with their ability to use tools like AI more favorably, more usefully. I think that this is where that scalability suddenly becomes, for lack of a better term, like viral, right? And what I hope that we can do for neuroinclusion is be ready for that pendulum swing, which it's really hard to predict when it's going to happen.
Yes.
Because right now I feel like I every day I'm like, we have to be at the end, at the farthest like swing of this pendulum in the employer market.
And then it keeps going?
And then it keeps going. So it's a big pendulum. But I think once it makes that turnaround, I think companies who are invested, who are planned and already established in neuroinclusion, they're going to have a really strong advantage against the other companies who are not doing this work.
Yeah, and I think, what's tough today, too, is there's a lot of folks who have just entered the job market for whatever reasons, and maybe they knew they were, neurodivergent, or they didn't know, but now they know. little time on their hands to figure it out, and they're looking for opportunities. And I know, I'm sure you, along with have seen an increase in folks going, hey, can you help me find a job, or is there a company that we should be looking at? And although probably in the past few years we've always had that, it's a little more right now.
It's a lot more.
And
Yeah.
and you feel bad, and then you're like, well, listen, now we're going to have some new opportunities. So, if you're in the government work and you're not in the government work now, you have an opportunity to go do something different, which is great. Change can be a little challenging for most, if not all, but we hope that between what you do and what I do and others do, that we're able to make them successful in maybe a different realm.
Absolutely. And I think that one of the benefits of thinking and learning and socializing differently is that there is some natural innovation built into this ability to think differently, right? That's kind of the definition of innovation. And so I hope that that's what we can use to kind of spring that pendulum a little bit more quickly back. And that when it does make that turn, we can say, okay, yeah, this is the talent that you want, and really highlight that capability of thinking and learning and socializing differently. But anyway,
1,000%.
Any last thoughts on this topic of projecting the future, which is always impossible to do, but yeah.
Yeah, I think we're at the cusp of more opportunity. I think that
we still have to weather the storm, right? But
yes,
we're at the cusp. I hope
we are. Like we're rounding the bend. We're heading for home. I'm gonna do like NASCAR things. We're taking the left turn down the straightaway. But I think it's imperative that we keep our kind of foot on the pedal. To make sure that we're doing everything necessary to make sure that people have opportunities to do their jobs. And I thank you for doing podcasts like this. I think it goes to the masses, and I think people take a listen to what you say and your guests say, and I couldn't be more thankful to be on the show.
Well, thank you so much, and I appreciate your view as a leader in this space. We're here at a conference, and we walk down the hallway, and you can't go 15 feet without running into 20 people you know.
Exactly.
And so appreciate your views as someone with a lot of exposure in this space, and thank you so much for joining.
I appreciate it. Thanks, Joe.
Well, thank you for listening, and be sure to subscribe to the NITW podcast.